Adrian had texted. I don't know if you guys saw it.
There's like a list of locations
in Texas
that are known for hauntings.
My number one spot here in Texas would be the Baker Hotel.
Where's that at?
Somewhere in Baker. I don't know.
Watch me like you're probably don't even know what
No, but I've heard about this hotel. I've seen some videos on it. Look badass, dude. I saw that the Yorktown Memorial Hospital was on there.
Yeah.
The Marfa lights.
Marfa, Presidio.
Now let me ask you something. If us guys went to Marfa, right? You know how they have all the sighting areas to take a look. They're designated sighting areas to take a look at the Marfa lights. Would you say fuck that and get ourselves a fucking 4x4 and go off-roading to it? See if we could actually have a close encounter?
I'm more careful than that, but I will end up doing something like that.
I'd have to agree.
I would.
Because it even, like, the people who seem to actually get close to it, like, the videos that I've seen, like, even, like, I was talking about the Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
the guy who bought it from the previous owner said that, like, his first day was a big-ass fucking wolf. It was, like, about as tall as he was.
Big-ass wolf?
Yeah, it was a wolf. And it was actually friendly. It ate out of his hand. It was nice.
What?
But a calf stuck his head out of the gate.
Yeah.
And it fucking just tore the motherfucker apart. Then he said the second or third day, or it might have been the first
Skinwalker?
Yeah, Skinwalker Ranch. He saw lights in the shape of a V. And he said that no matter how fast he was riding that horse to get to where the fucking lights were, he seemed like it was getting somewhere, but every time it would pulse, it seemed to be in the exact same spot without moving.
Right.
So it seemed to be getting farther and farther as he was getting closer and closer. And that was one instance, and then there was another instance on YouTube where people actually try to get close to the light, or some kind of lights that are in the sky to try to see what it is.
Yeah.
And it seems to be getting farther and far. If it wants to be found or known or something, I would assume that whatever it is knows you're already there.
Well, I thought the Skinwalker Ranch at first was some kind of just made up place for Hollywood.
Look it up.
No, I know. At first, it was kind of like remember the whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre where. Right. He had a lot of people believe that it really happened and all that shit, and then come to find out it was just really just an imagining of Tobe Hooper, taking the ideas of the actual true, serial killer Ed Gein and what he did in Wisconsin, but he named it Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It had more of an appeal than Wisconsin, so I thought the Skinwalker Ranch was kind of made up at first, but then I seen a lot of stuff about that place and. How creepy as fuck!
It's not just ghosts. Like there's poltergeist
extraterrestrial
too.
Yes,
skinwalkers. I already said poltergeist.
But do you think? Okay, is that area privately owned or is it government owned?
Now it's privately owned by scientists because the guy who owned it said, "Fuck this! I'm losing calf. Our family's going insane." They sold it to a bunch of scientists and researchers. They bought that, and from the last video I saw, supposedly they bought that, and then they're starting to record their
coffee, Bubba?
Yeah, sounds good.
And shit like that.
Yeah.
So, I just even the land itself. I think me and TK were talking about this. The land itself. I mean, there's the house, and then you have all this open land, and then all of a sudden. It goes from woods to like I swear, dude, it's like a line in the fucking sand, and then it's just desert.
Really?
Yeah, it's really fucking weird.
So I'm like thinking, could it be something to do with the Native Americans that used to live there? Some kind of spiritual thing with them? And stuff like
supposedly that little mesa that's right behind the property was supposed to be a sacred burial site. But even that, dude, like if you were to pull up, like they have aerial views of it, and you'll see it right down the middle, dude. There's desert, and then there's woodlands.
Like just a weird
but there's a
different types
mesa.
of
There's a
terrains.
mesa right. Aliens. There's but yeah, supposedly that hill, that mesa, was a sacred burial ground, and I forgot how the legend went or what happened. It basically just got desecrated.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that happened, the land started changing.
What?
The paranormal shit started happening, and they are actually thinking that it's one of the biggest portals of not only just spirits, skinwalkers, extraterrestrials.
It's just a portal. It's a portal that opens up to another dimension.
Yeah, but it's one of the main ones. Like, there's different ones all around the country.
It could be a
that was
wormhole.
just. Well, they're even talking about that too.
Yeah. You never know, because isn't that one of the biggest things that they talked about with those super colliders and stuff like that, trying to create wormholes and slamming atoms together and see if they can create some kind of portal window or something. I mean, that's just a huge thing.
I like
Did
that.
you want to? Did you want to eat coffee?
Yeah, I'm down, dude. I don't want anything to do with the smallest cock.
Yeah, but I was thinking like two things when you were talking about that. Like Native Americans also, they believed in a thing called a Wendigo.
Uh-huh.
You heard about that, which I always felt like there was like some kind of connection between Wendigo and Skinwalkers.
Yeah.
Because Wendigo is pretty much like it's supposed to be some type of like reclusive spirit that protects certain areas.
Yeah.
And then the Skinwalker has almost a similar kind of thing. Like a lot of it's just sort of like shrouded in mystery. But
see, the thing about that, and then with my time in New Mexico, I mean, I got to spend time with a bunch of natives, and I would go to like the reservations, and I've been to the Navajo reservation, been to Zuni, Isleta, Sandia. I've experienced some shit too, like physical, like not ghost paranormal shit, but like something weird. Like if you were to look, if you're driving down the road, like this happened to me. I was going down Sandia. The bypass going from Albuquerque to Bernalillo, there's a scenic route, and it goes right through the Sandia Pueblo. Well, I was going through that road, and I can actually pull up Google Maps, and I'll show you exactly where it was. I was just driving, man, and me and my girlfriend had broken up at the time. Like, we just broken up, and my thing was, dude, I would just go out and drive, dude. That was like my thing. Like, that shit was fucking, that was therapeutic. Well, I just so happened to be going down this road, and it was fucking late at night. It was like 2, 3 in the morning. And sure as shit, dude, it was really fucking weird. It was really fucking weird. Like, I didn't want to believe it because of the shit that people were telling me. And, you know, different cultures have their different beliefs, but there's always some kind of truth to that aspect of what they're talking about. You know, sometimes they can't explain it, or sometimes they just throw you off because they know what's going on and they just don't want outsiders to know, you know. So I understand that. I don't probe. I don't probe at it. I respect the fact that, hey, you want to tell me? That's cool,
like,
you know.
supposedly with Skinwalkers, like, one, if you see one, you might already be cursed. And it's going to come looking for you.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, if you talk about it, if there was a chance that you're going to get let off, you're definitely not going to get let off now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And people, and it's always the same thing. I mean, some people tell me, is if you want to kill a Skinwalker, you have to know who it is and say its full name and then put a bullet in its head. Because if you're going to shoot it now, it ain't going to do shit. So when I saw this thing, it was, dude, I swear it was, like, I wasn't scared. It was really strange as to, like, what the fuck am I looking at? You know, and I'm trying to piece together, like, what the fuck am I looking at? So I'm going down this road, and I swear it's probably, like, from here to the house across the street. It looked like a huge fucking cricket. Pale as shit. It looked like it had hair, and it basically looked like a humanoid doing the crab walk, but it was about the size of my fucking car. And it just, like, was walking, crawling, whatever the fuck it was doing, and it stopped on the shoulder, and I stopped. I wasn't gonna go get out of my fucking car like every white people in the fucking scary ass movies, you know. You know, I stayed in my fucking car and I just watched it, but at the same time, like, my mind wasn't processing what the fuck I was looking at. I forgot where I was. I didn't forget where I was, but I didn't take in the fact that I'm on Indian reservation. I've been hearing these stories about these things. Appreciate it, man. And you know, it wasn't until after the fact that when it was just standing there and it wasn't twitching, but it was doing some kind of movement, like it was like kind of doing like this type of thing, like it was moving. Yeah, I'll get some. Like it was moving to like slow music, like something like this, right? And so the whole body was doing that, and I was like, what the fuck? And then it finally just kept on crawling off, and I just sat there. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Trying to process what the hell did I just see?
That's the hard part, right? It's trying to process it.
No, but the way you describe it, you said like its legs, it had like backwards knees, and it had long legs like a cricket.
The best way I can describe
kind of humanoid.
Yeah, like, dude. So I was telling TK about my experiences.
But was it like a humanoid on all fours with really big back legs and bent like crickets?
Yes, and it was like it was walking like, you know, crab style walk, you know, shit like that. But it was the size of my fucking car. That's what I like. That's what I get.
That reminded me of the story that I don't know the validity of it, because the girl that was telling the story, she said she tried to prove it to her boyfriend at the time, but the house that she saw was not even there. So that kind of like, she has nothing else other than what she claims to have seen.
Right.
It was, I forgot what state they were in. I don't think they were Utah, but I think they were like one of the states that was like around Utah. And it was on her route to work. Like she has two routes she could have taken.
For
real?
Why didn't you? I can get you a spoon or something.
You're good. I don't want you to do that.
But
it's alright.
So it's like she could take like the main route, but sometimes depending on like seasons or something, like the main route can get like heavy traffic.
Yeah.
And there's a back route, and she takes either route, like just randomly whatever she feels like. But there was one day when she was coming back from work and it was nighttime, and then she noticed the cabin that was like out in the middle of nowhere. It was like just out there in the field, and she never noticed it before, so she was kind of trying to look at it, and then all she can really tell is like there's no driveway that leads to it. It was just out there, and there's no like tracks to show like vehicle ever went there. And so as she was staring at it, like after she got sort of close enough to it, which is as close as she's gonna get, where the car is pretty much on the road right in front of the cabin, like I said, it's still kind of a distance, she could see that there was something sitting on the patio, like on the steps, or just above the steps. But all she could really tell is like its legs had those like backwards knees.
Yes,
and
dude.
then this thing, it was on all fours. It looked like it was relaxed, but she said like, just looked at the head, she can kind of see a face on it, but the head was kind of like long.
Yeah. Dude.
And she tried to get a good look at the face, but she said that before she could even like really get any details in the face, when she was already driving by it, and she said that from the quick moment of like a blur of driving by it, what she could see of the face looked freaky. Like the mouth was huge, and then the eye sockets were huge.
See, I wasn't close enough to see facial features, but the head was long. It really didn't have, well, I assume it didn't have hair, but the skin was so fucking thin that it wrapped around the bone. Like,
oh, and she described the skin as looking gray.
Oh, shit. So, it's a gray. It's one of the gray aliens.
Yeah,
but
it was pale.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, like grayish. And it was weird because where I was at, I was on the Indian reservation, you know, and then I drove by. I mean, I was growing probably like 20 past it, you know, and I'm just like looking to see if it left a trail or whatever. I didn't stop, but I went slow enough to like, you know, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Is there like some kind of marking? Did it take a shit on the road? You know, something. And then I look in the field, and the field's fucking open, dude. You can see for miles, you know. And it's not there. The grass wasn't tall. The grass was fucking cut. They had just cut alfalfa. You know? So it was just plain fucking field, and it wasn't there. And I didn't stay there for a fucking hour, not, you know, not thinking, what the fuck did I just see? Like, I was thinking, like, in a paralyzing sense of what it could have been. Because when I started going down the road again, I got to Bernalillo and I filled up on gas, and I was like, fuck, dude, like like it just, I couldn't let it go. Like in my mind, I couldn't let it go.
Right.
Because it was the weirdest shit that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we've done some paranormal shit. We've seen, heard, took pictures of different shit. That was nothing.
But a lot of the true stuff that happens just individually in separate occasions. You know, like with you and what was it after the Ouija board stuff? I was having these very vivid dreams the first time we did the Ouija board. And dude, it's hard to explain about them now, but you know, I would actually have like real freaking dreams where I thought I was dead, you know, but in another dimension. And what I mean by individually, like what you experienced, like remember you told me about the in that behind what used to be Kmart or whatever, you saw an image of what looked like it could have been a little girl.
Yeah, it was like a little girl, roughly like 11-ish years old. And it was like very creepy, like Silent Hill, like. Yeah, because until her hair was black, but it was at night. There's not a lot of light back there.
Didn't you tell us this like, back in like the Espresso days? Because I feel like this story's familiar.
Yeah, but it was like I've always sort of chopped it up to a hallucination because at the time I was always depriving myself of so much sleep.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
I was like chopping it up to that for so long,
yeah.
And I still kind of chop it up to that. But I guess like the way it was is I had my Ranger, and I was parked in it's like Goodwill loading dock, but with the tailgate facing out of the loading dock, and I was like depressed because I broke up with this girl. But I was sitting on the tailgate, and I was just kind of like zoning out, because you know you're depressed, and I'm a loner, so I don't talk to anybody. I just go find a spot to be alone and sit there and dwell on it. But as I was sitting there and dwelling on it, and it was middle of the night, like you know how there's like some dumpsters back there. Well, like that goes to the plaza where Wingstop is at. But it looked like just a black ball next to the dumpster. But it was kind of moving, and I was thinking like, it was like is that a raccoon, like scraping up some?
Was it that small? I mean, was it?
I mean, it started off like little, like it was probably not more than knee high,
Okay.
and then as I kept staring at it, and my eyes just it seemed like my eyes were not going to focus anymore. Like
So you
it's
started
just,
like kind of zoning a little bit, like zoning out.
yeah, but I can kind of see it moving a little, and then she just stood up. So it was kind of like she was curled up in a ball next to the dumpster.
Oh, fuck.
And then she stood up. She wasn't facing me. So I was seeing her from the side. She was like staring at the dumpster.
Oh, okay.
And so she stood up facing the dumpster. And I was just thinking like someone lost their kid.
Yeah.
You know, I was still thinking kind of rationally.
Yeah.
And then from the dumpster, it wasn't like a surprising like I Dream of Jeannie blink like teleport thing that she did.
Yeah.
It was kind of like she fades out, and when she fades back in, she's somewhere else. Now she's like in the middle of the alley, closer to me. This time she is facing me.
Yeah.
And I just stared at her for a sec, and then the same thing happened again. It's like slow fade out. And I looked around, and I saw her like somewhere else, like further down the building. Now she's further away from me. And she had the moment again where it's like she faded out again, and this time I didn't have to look around because she stayed in the same line of sight.
Yeah.
This time she was facing me again or facing away from me, I couldn't tell. And then she faded away again, and this time I couldn't find her again.
What the fuck was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, I wonder if it was an iPhone.
Is that, I thought it was.
Yeah,
one of y'all's phones.
But yeah, it was. As far as description goes, it just looked like a black silhouette. But like I said, it was during a time period where I was hallucinating a lot, mostly because I was depriving myself of so much sleep. So I just chalked it up to that. Like,
Right.
It must be one of those, because for anybody who's ever hallucinated, it's easy to believe it until it goes away.
Right. And it's weird too, because like after that incident, the next day I went back to work, and like I said, I couldn't let it go. So I talked to the only dude who I trusted, was a native dude. His name was Joel. The dude was fucking 19 years old. This dude was seriously like fucking this high. 19 years old. And I was like, hey Joel, I was like, I know you're native, dude. I gotta tell you something that happened to me last night, man. And I was like, I know you're not gonna be judgmental towards it. And you off the bat, he's like, you saw something, didn't you? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I can feel it. He's like, come here real quick. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, Like, when he said, come here real quick, I was like, fuck, it's him. I know it was him. I'm about to fucking die.
Oh,
you know,
man.
like, but no, he put me off to the side. He lit a cigarette. And he started fucking, like, doing all this shit to me. So I just stood there. I was like, just respecting his shit, you know, because that's his fucking culture. That's his shit. So I did, you know, I just let him do what he needed to do, right? And so I told him, and he goes, I'm not going to say you could have, or you did, or you didn't, but it's possible that you could have seen somebody transforming or somebody come out of a transformation.
No shit.
And I was like, Skinwalker. And he's like, call it what you want. He's like, but I can tell you one thing. He's like, did it see you? Did you feel the sense of like, I'm gonna fucking die? Is it gonna attack? I was like, no, I was more confused as to like what the fuck I was looking at.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because he wasn't a bad whatever.
Spirit.
He said it in his language. I forgot what the fuck it was like. Wala something. I don't know. It's like Walakanaka or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, anyway, he fucking. So I was like, dude, would you, the next time we're off, would you come with me so I could show you where it's at? And he's like, yeah. And I didn't tell him where I saw it. I just said I was down the road. I was going down the road, you know, on a bypass. And he goes, yeah, I'll go. So the next night we were off, I went to the exact time, the exact place. But before I could even get to that place, he said, hey, stop the car. And I stopped the car. I thought he saw something. He said, I can't cross this. This isn't my pueblo.
Shit.
This isn't my. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I can't cross this.
Yeah.
I can't. He's like, I'm Zuni. He's like, this is Sandia. I was like, are y'all like at war or some shit? He's like, no. He's like, but I respect their elders. I respect their beliefs.
Still to this day.
Yeah, and then we get back, and I was like, well, anyway, Joel. I was like, this is where I saw it. It's probably two more miles down the road. He's like, no, I believe you. He's all, well, check this out. He's all, I'm gonna tell you something. And he's like, and I'm trusting you. He's like, I think my uncle is, because they will only allow you to see them transform.
Right. Maybe there was some sort of sole purpose of why.
Well, he said that
you saw him.
It's basically how we portray heroes. There's a good and there's a bad. There's a villain. There's a hero.
Yeah.
And it's mainly the medicine men who pass on that. You know that how can I put it?
Like a tradition or.
Yeah, or spiritual power or whatever. So how he explained it was, like, he said that he slightly saw his uncle start to get into that trance of becoming, and before he can see it, they shoot him off.
But becoming what?
A bear. He had
like a shapeshifter?
Yeah, that's basically what.
But spiritual?
This is what he was telling me. He goes, now he just doesn't give a shit. I mean, he tells everybody now because now he's like, I don't think it's.
He's thinking differently
he said
now.
That his uncle was a real bad drunk, and he was a rager. Like, he was real. He's always in a bad mood. He was always the one to fucking start fights, end fights, whatever, just to antagonize people, just to piss them off. Because he was just one of those people that would just. He was real aggressive. So his animal was a bear. That's what he represented.
Oh, shit.
So he actually had a shawl, or what he said was like, not necessarily a suit, but it was made out of bear.
Yeah.
He would put it on, and they would drink, and then they started acting weird. And that's when he said that he started seeing his uncle, like, kind of doing that swaying motion. I was like, dude, that's really fucking weird, because that's what I saw in that big-ass cricket. You know, that's what he was doing. You know, like,
so instead, your uncle turned into a cricket.
So he said that before he can really transform, like, he heard, I don't know if he was exaggerating, but he was like, I heard pops. He would grunt, he would yell, but I didn't know if he was just drunk. He was about to fight my cousins, you know, his sons. But he could have sworn that how we wear hoodies, the hoodie started becoming part of him. So the skin started latching onto his skin, and it started like morphing. This is what he was telling me when he was little. That was the only instance that he's ever witnessed something, and it wasn't a full like episode. He only saw a bit of it, and then they had to shoo him away. They told him go inside, go somewhere else, go. And then he said that he didn't see his uncle for 4 days. Came back like nothing fucking happened.
No shit. God.
But he says that in their tradition, the medicine men, depending on who they want to teach it to, can be good or bad.
Yeah.
And the people who are bad, they will cause harm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and for instance, for the Skinwalker Ranch, that ended up supposedly being a Skinwalker because the guy shot it. I don't know how many times that fucking wolf never had a puncture wound. Never. There was blood trails, but there was no puncture wound. And so what he was telling me was like, supposedly, he's like, I don't know how true it is, because we got to the generation now that the natives started becoming civilized in our culture, and you know, there's iPods, listening to our music, you know, shit like that. But from what their tradition was, if the dude was evil, even if they were good, even evil skinwalkers, shapeshifters, whatever you want to call them, they're kind of like at war with each other, like angels and demons. So why it's so secretive is because you don't know who they are, you don't know what they could have become, you know. So what he was telling me was like, if I knew it was TK, I would have to say TK's full name, first, middle, last, and put a bullet in him to kill him. You can't just like TK Sutherland and bam. No, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
Because if, say TK was a wolf, and I see him and I know it's TK, say his full name, and he reacts to me and looks, you got him, and boom, that's how you get rid of him.
Dude, that would suck if you had to say TK's full name and then his birth date and then his social security
number, blood type, bank account information.
Look at that. It's confusing because I have two middle names. So someone's got to figure that out.
Okay, where he was born.
It doesn't matter. It has to be your full name. The full fucking name. So I was just like, damn, dude. It's like, for real? Like, is this... So yeah, dude. He's like, I've heard shit too, and I believe it too because of what I saw when I was little. He said he was about 6 or 7 when he saw that. His uncle's dead now because of fucking liver failure because
alcohol.
Natives like that fire water. But yeah, man, and supposedly he was in the midst of teaching his sons. So his sons supposedly they loved to fight, like they were just fucking troublemakers. So it ended up passing on, you know, in that aspect of their attitude, the way they presented themselves, how they were as humans.
Yeah.
They were gonna act as their spirit animal, which were bears, because they have rage, they have, you know, they just fucking do whatever they want to do, you know. They were just
That's
huge
insane.
people.
That would suck if I became an earthworm.
just
like
slowly just crawling.
I have heard like similar stories to that. There was a guy, I think he was a white dude. I don't think it ever cleared it up. But he said he had a friend who was Native American. And he went to go like just sleep over at their place, you know, the kids. And he said he saw something out in the woods on the way. And then he tried to bring it up when they were all still in the car. And then they told him, don't bring it up, don't talk about it. And so he kind of like stayed quiet for a while. But then after they got to the house and then other family members came out to greet them, then he wanted to tell them about it. And then they were telling him, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And then he tried to ask his friend later on when they're just by themselves in the room. And his friend didn't shut him up, just didn't respond. Like, just, there's no conversation until you stop talking about this.
Yeah.
And later on, like, everyone was still awake. And they were having dinner. And then the kids, like, as soon as they finished, like, their food, they went out to the front patio. And they saw something in the driveway. And they explained it like, it kind of looks like a person, but he said it looks like they were wearing like animal skin, and it was in the driveway. And then his friend pulled him inside, and his friend told his parents, like, there's something in the driveway, some kind of animal. And then they told the kids to go inside. And then the adults got guns. And they didn't go outside, they just boarded stuff up. Like, they just started, like, locking everything, like, closing windows and putting boards up, nailing it in. And they just kept telling their kids just to go call it a night, go to sleep. And so he went to sleep early, but he was just wondering what happened. He didn't hear any gunshots.
No.
He knew that the adults were up, like, all night. And, like, the next day when they were like, the sun came back up and the kids came out, the adults were, like, getting ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
And he said he did his own research on it later on, and then he started finding stuff about skinwalkers, and he started saying, like, this is a really similar thing. But when I was, like, looking through these stories, I was just, it was Halloween, like, almost.
Yeah.
So I was, like, in that mood to find scary stories.
Yeah.
I was looking into paranormal stuff, and that's when I started finding, like, just, like, some website where people were, like, just finding all the creepy stories they have on one topic.
Yeah.
And some of it was like a news article thing. Other times it was like just someone who was telling a story. But when you get people that are like, they don't know each other, when they like so many of these different people like at so many like different years and things, like they're always like talking about these stories, but it's always happening like in a certain region. It's always happening in a certain region. They don't even have to be Native American. But like half the stories were like from Native Americans.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like with like UFO sightings. Like when you get enough people that end up with similar descriptions, you start to question it more.
Yeah, and you start to believe it.
You do.
And the thing is, it's like, from what Joel's told me, like I said, there's some stuff I do believe, there's some stuff I don't. I mean, there are some stuff that they make it obvious that we don't want you to know about it, so I'm going to mislead you type of thing.
Yeah.
So from what he was telling me, that if it's after you, it's going to be known. Is that you did the right thing by not throwing a rock at it or whatever, because whatever it's after or trying to torment or whatever, it's only after that person.
Yeah.
Now, you throw a rock at it and you antagonize it, then you're fucked. It's going to go do what it needs to do. It already knows what you are. It already knows, supposedly, So I'm just like, oh, shit. So I always kept that in consideration, But, dude, New Mexico is just a whole new...
No, I believe it, man.
It's weird.
It's like... It's a whole new different paranormal, especially when you have the spiritual natives, dude, because...
There's a lot of Native American influence over there, which makes it so intriguing to, go. I mean, a lot of places with Native American cultures and stuff like that, it just is so intriguing in how far they believe in the afterlife. I've seen a lot of stuff where, they really do, get far deep.